What's going on, Rovers? Sam here, back at it again for another video with another patch essentially in the books and a lot of new and returning players coming back for the anniversary patch, patch 2.3. I wanted to create an updated tier list to help you prioritize which characters I think you should summon for. Now, let's start off with the characters most recently added to the roster, starting with Cantarella. Now, design-wise, easy S tier. Heck, she might even be in a tier unto herself. Her design is absolutely amazing, really good VA as well. But I would say overall usability as it currently stands, she's a very, very high A tier. Obviously, a phenomenal support for all Havoc DPS characters like Amelia, like Havoc Rover, even Dan Jin. But the fact that her outro skill gives skill damage doesn't make her an amazing pairing for the Havoc DPS characters just yet. This could change. We don't know. But because of the skill increase, she pairs very well with Jin Shi, obviously a top tier unit, pairs well with Carlotta, obviously another top tier unit. So I do think she is a very, very high A tier unit. I don't think she's quite S tier. I mean, she has coordinated attacks, which coordinated attackers are very good in Wuwa, and she can heal. So she does have some good universal support, but I just don't think she has the absolute A1 proper teammate just yet. Now, Arrow Rover, this is early, but I do think Arrow Rover is kind of a C tier or meh tier, if you will. This character is highly predicated upon arrow erosion. We really don't have any characters that synergize very well with that just yet. In phase 2, we are getting Chikona, who can actually swap between Spectral Frazzle and arrow erosion. So I do think Arrow Rover will shine. I do think this is a very intermediate placement, if you will. Obviously, we're going to get more sequences that are going to make this character better. So I do think all in all, right now, not great. Does heal. I think their animations are insane. Like animation wise, holy moly. The aerial attacks look amazing. The burst animation looks cool. Like I said, she heals. So I do think universally down the road, this character could have some very good uh, viability. I think because they can heal, you're maybe not going to have to depend on Shorekeeper or Verena in their arrow erosion teams. But as it stands right now, not an amazing character. Verena, man, still S tier. Second best healer in the game. Still, her outro gives like a 15% all damage deepen increase, which is insane. Very minimal field time. Very easy to get through her concerto to give the outro. Really, really solid character. Pretty boring character, if you will, but she continues to be one of the best supports in the game. Encore, A tier. Obviously, very, very adorable. No longer the premium fire DPS character to play alongside Chen Li. That's become Brant. But all in all, I still think Encore is a very solid unit. Very respectable damage. Able to pair well with Chen Li and clear most of the content in the game. I think for like top tier floors of TOA kind of struggles a bit. But if you get her, you can definitely build around her. She can carry you through a lot of the content in the game. You get Chen Li, makes it better. But I do think because of Brand's introduction and her being a standard 5-star unit, she'll continue to get moved further down the list. But as it currently stands, she is still a solid unit. Sephiroth, aka Calcharo. My God, the coolest character in the game, but he is not amazing. There's just considerably better DPS characters on the roster. There's another really solid Electro DPS in the game. He can slap. He can do very respectable damage. You pair him with Yin Lin. You just have to make sure that you get off all his death messengers. Like, to maximize Calcharo, you really have to be a Giga gamer. And I think a lot of players in Wuwa are more casual based. Now, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of sweaty gamers, and I think sweaty gamers would probably have him a little higher. But I think holistically, because to maximize his damage window, it takes a lot of skill, it takes a lot of nuance. Sometimes it's not even possible. Like, you might have to dodge that interrupts his, full death messenger damage window. So all in all, I still think he is a viable DPS character, but I just think there's a lot better on the roster. Genshin, very, very interesting character. Very flexible. Heal, shield, and it has like a kind of built-in parry. Really good AoE in her burst. It doesn't feel great. Like, it's very slow, and it just feels like she doesn't really have a an amazing place in the game. Now, her outro does give liberation, which pairs well with, Mr. Yao and other characters. So I do think she is B tier. I think if you get her early on, it's not like the worst. It doesn't cripple your account. I do think she has good usability early on, but I just think there's other characters that are significantly better than her. Again, standard 5-star character, not gonna have the most longevity in the game, but again, she has her uses. She has her uses. Lin Yang, man, I've gotten roasted for putting him everywhere. I think he is C tier. Now, I say it with respect because he is still a decent character. I think he's adorable. I think his animations look really cool, like he's on his little pedestals. But the fact that he can kind of get knocked around in the air is a little bit of a yikes. Obviously, he is not even close to the premium, ice damage dealer in the game. Not even close. But I do think there's options for him. I think if he's kind of like the Chi-Chi, if you will, of the 5-star characters on the limited. I'm sorry, standard banner characters. He's not the worst character in the game. He's definitely not the best. I think if you like him, you can definitely build him up. Pairs very well with Sanhua, who's obviously a very premium unit, but all in all, just a decent, very mediocre unit. I know I'm gonna get roasted because I know there's a lot of Lin Yang stands out there, but all in all, I just think there is way better characters. I think if you get him, you can invest into him early. I wouldn't go crazy because I just think he gets significantly outscaled very, very quickly. Gion, man, there was looking like a time where Gion was going to be down here, and then they added Whimpering Waste. He is firmly, firmly back in S tier. I still think there's much better characters in TOA. I don't think he's the best single target boss DPS, if you will, but Whimpering Waste, he is insanely good. Like, arguably, probably top two best characters in Wiwa, just because he has such good grouping, such good AoE, an amazing character. He looks awesome. The Dragon Man continues to stay relevant. Yinlin, Yinlin, firmly A. Obviously she's the best support for electro-based DPSs like Mr. Yao and Calcharo. Technically she can be paired with, Jin Shi as well, but you know, her her combos are a little nuanced. You really have to make sure that you're, swapping in, swapping out at the right windows just to maximize, you know, her her output. But all in all, I just don't think she is gonna be the end all be all quote unquote sub DPS for Electro going forward. I just think she'll be replaced. Good coordinated attack damage. But all in all, I just think she is a solid character, solid sub DPS, but I don't know if she's gonna be, the greatest thing since sliced bread for Electro sub DPS characters. Design wise, still amazing, like her VA, but aside from Yao, Calcharo, maybe Jinshi, it's just you know, you know, she's all right. She's solid. Jinshi, still S tier. Personally, not my favorite DPS, but she still absolutely slaps. I would say she is the big three of damage dealers in the game. Uh, you know, you notice the trend; they all have white hair. So, anytime there's a white hair character in Wuwa, I think you should kind of prick your ears because she is an amazing character. Does really good damage. Really, really bad for Whimpering Waste. Unfortunately, doesn't have the most AOE. Sometimes her combos and her playstyle doesn't lend to AOE situations, but for TOA, she's amazing. For bosses, she's amazing. So she is still firmly an S tier. Speaking of S tier, Chen Li might be hedging here. I think Chen Li deserves to be an S tier. Herself, not the best damage dealer, but sub DPS, she's amazing. You compare her in a duo DPS with Mr. Yao, works very well. Obviously, now with the introduction of Brant, Quick Swap is amazing. These two flow very, very well together. Um, and yeah, I just think she's an amazing character. One of my favorite characters in this game. I think her design is amazing. I think her VA is amazing. I think if you really want to go down the fire avenue, I think it's an amazing avenue to go down. I don't think it's the best. I do think there's other better DPSs in the game, like Genshi, like Carlotta, especially Camellia. But I do think the Fire DPS quick swap team with her and Brant is one of the better teams in the game, and I think it could get better. So we'll see. Mr. Yao, I still think he is an S tier unit. Obviously, pair him with Yin Lin. It still does very, very good damage. He was a free unit. He has very good um, single target and AoE damage. He does this explosion. Also has a time stop built into his kit, which is very helpful. I just don't think he is, the premium DPS. I don't think anybody would say he is. But the fact that he is free and the fact that he can still hold his own in a lot of different game modes. Like I still think he's very good in Wuwa because he does have good AOE and he's very good in TOA against bosses and even hologram he can be usable. So all in all, I still think he is a very solid character. He is on the anniversary rerun banners, just like Chen Li and Jian and Yinlin. But I wouldn't prioritize him on the rerun banners, but I do think if you like him, he is a sufficient enough character to carry you through a lot of the content in the game. Zhezha. Zhezha is an amazing character. I didn't realize how good she was on her initial banner. I was like, I don't know, but amazing character. Coordinated attack characters in Wuthering Waves are very good. You can build her like full support. You can put the coordinated attack set on her, and she does an actually pretty respectable um, coordinated attack damage. But obviously, best in slot for Carlotta. My favorite character, really good support for Jinshi as well. And I just think she is a very well rounded character. Don't really need her signature weapon. You can really put, you know, you could put like the 4-star crit rate weapon on her, and she's solid. You don't even, honestly, the build isn't like the most important. I would just say energy recharge is very important. But just a very, very well rounded character. Couldn't recommend her enough. Shorekeeper, best character in the game. We know this. It's no surprise. She continues to stand the test of time, gives insane crit rate, insane crit damage, the best healer in the game. She is on every single team, best team in the game. So what can you say? Now, Camellia, I still think she's the best DPS in the game. Amazing for TOA, amazing for Whimpering Waste. She is not the best, hologram or boss DPS. I do think that goes to Carlotta, but all in all, holistically, I think she is the best overall DPS in the game. Pairs very, very well with Rocha, Cantarella, Sanhua. Like the fact that one of her best, arguably best supports is a 4-star in Sanhua. I love it. I love it. Amazing character, super fun to play. I really like the spin to win. Spinning top, it does make me a little dizzy, but amazing character. Carlotta, my favorite character in the game. I think she's the second best DPS. Not amazing for Whimpering Waste, but she is the queen of single target. For hologram, she slaps. She has a time stop significantly. I would say it's better than Mr. Yao's. Like she literally freezes the enemy in place. Really gives you a nice solid cushion of damage window. Very solid damage window, if you will, because of the time stop. Amazing for TOA. My favorite character, brain dead to play, very, very easy. I think if you're getting into Wuthering Waves and you're looking for a character to just kind of carry you, that's very easy to play. I think she's my number one recommendation. Like I said, pairs very well with Zhezha. Tao Chi is her second best support because Tao Chi gives a fat skill boost with her outro. So all in all, an amazing character. Couldn't recommend her more. Rocha. Rocha is A tier. When Whimpering Waste first came out, I would have sneakily put her in S tier because she has such good grouping. But I do think she is firmly in A. Obviously, she's Camellia's best support, very good with Dan Jin and Havoc Rover. But I just she's more of a niche unit because Camellia is so good with Sanhua. Like Sanhua's S6 boosting is almost on par with S0 Rocha. So the fact that a 4-star is almost on par with a 5-star premium unit, I don't know. If you like her, she's adorable, you know. But I think she's more of a premium unit, not necessary. Um, she's more niche than Cantarella. Like Cantarella can heal, and Cantarella pairs well with other characters because of her outro. So I do think she is still a very solid A tier unit. Again, she's solid for Whimpering Waste because of her grouping, but I've heard in the new Wiwa she's not as necessary because grouping isn't as important. So all in all, still a solid A tier unit. Phoebe, we love Phoebe. Phoebe is again one of my favorite characters. I prefer her over Jinshi, but damage wise, she's not better than Jinshi. She's close. Obviously, she is the Spectral Frazzle unit. She can be a main DPS character when you pair her with Spectral Rover. She's going to pair amazingly well with Zani. I think that's kind of where she was intended to go as Zani's best support. But the fact that her overall damage is so solid, like you don't need Zani. Like you could, just use her as a main DPS with Spectral Rover, and you can clear a good amount of the content in the game. Obviously, she's not the best, boss DPS like Camellia or Carlotta, but very respectable, amazing for getting around the world. Like outside of when I'm exploring regions like Jinzhou, outside of Renacida, she's the only character that I bring because she has her flight carry covers so much distance. So she's adorable, really universal, really flexible, just an amazing S tier unit. I think she'll continue to get better, and I would definitely recommend this character. I think in my rerun banner analysis for the anniversary, she is like my top 3 units I would recommend alongside Carlotta and Jeja. Brant. Brant is S tier. Brant and Chen Li deserve to be together. Now, Brant, I would say definitely has some serious barriers to entry. If you're not willing to, farm his Echo set, get about 250% energy recharge, get his weapon, he's not going to be as good as he could be. Now, obviously, he heals and he shields, which is very pog. And you're going to have to learn how to quick swap with these two. But I think if you're willing to invest in Brant, he's kind of like Nvidia for you stock traders out there. We weren't sure at the potential of Nvidia, but if you invest into it and if you really invest into it, it pays off in the long run. So I do think Brant is an S2 unit. Again, like Chen Li, I do think there is still room for him to improve. But I would still, with all the barriers, put him in S tier. Danjin. Danjin's awesome. Like, I really like Danjin. Honestly, might be better than Calcharo because of her ability to boost Havoc deepen damage with her outro. Like, she's an amazing unit for Havoc Rover. Honestly, pretty solid for Camellia. And she's just really fun. Like the whole Berserker, I love Berserker characters. Obviously, she's a 4-star DPS character, so her scaling isn't going to compare to top tier DPS characters in the game. But early on, very respectable, super, super fun playstyle. The risk it, no biscuit playstyle is insanely fun. And I just think she's a solid unit. Very, very solid B tier unit. Alto, meh. Love the dude. I think he's super cool. He makes clones. In a pinch, he can be good for Gian if you don't have, more Tefi because his outro does give arrow deep and damage. But all in all, just kind of a meh character. Now, with the introduction of arrow erosion, we'll see. Maybe he gets a little bit more uptick. But again, 4-star unit that doesn't have great flexibility or universal usage right now. But again, we'll see. With Chacona coming out with other arrow characters that are probably heavily predicated upon the arrow erosion interaction, maybe he gets some shine. Chisha, Chisha is fine. You can definitely pair her with Chen Li and do some very respectable damage. You can put Carlotta's weapon, The Last Dance, on her. She can absolutely slap. But again, 4-star DPS character, not somebody I would recommend in the long term, but early on, if you get her, maybe you have Chen Li, maybe you want Chen Li, and maybe you don't necessarily want to get Brant. I think you could get by with Chisha. Like if you don't have Encore and you have Chen Li, respectable. She does some pretty serious damage. You know, I think a lot of us have her at S6, and she can do very respectable damage. Uh, Early players, she's very easy to play as well, so not a lot of barriers there. But all in all, just you know, a solid 4-star DPS unit. Tauchi, Tauchi is Tauchi is interesting. She is Carlotta's second best support because of her fat skill damage increase in her outro, but she's very clunky. Like think of Beto, but significantly worse. Like it takes a lot of like uptime and field time to really get her boon to pay off. So you can make an argument for low B tier because she is such a good support for Carlotta, but like, man, just get Jeje. I know it's a lot of astrite to get both Carlotta and Jeje, but I'm telling you, you're not gonna regret it. But Tauchi, we'll put her low B tier. Fine. I think I've had her in C tier, but I do see the potential. Technically you could pair her with Jinshi because of the skill increase as well, but definitely much better suited for Carlotta. So we'll put her in the low B tier. Mortefi, still S tier. Amazing unit, coordinated attacker, Gion's best support. Super, super easy character. You give him static miss, the standard 5-star pistol, he slaps. He's still an amazing character. Most of us have him S6. New players obviously won't, but if you get him, an amazing character can definitely be a top tier 4-star character for you in the long run if you're a new player. Yuan Wu is kind of meh. I mean, he can shield, coordinated attacker. Um, technically in a pinch, you could put him in an electro team with Mr. Yao and Yin Lin, but again, not a character I recommend. Um, yeah, he looks cool, like the whole kind of professor vibe, but all in all, just not a character I recommend. Baija, third best healer in the game. I do think she has some good use cases, but if you get Verena, if you get Shorekeeper, you're really not going to use this character very often. But in a pinch, I definitely think she can be a sufficient enough healer to get you by the early game. Senhua. Senhua is, whew, I don't even know where to put her in S, but she is firmly in S tier. One of the best units in the game. Mind you, she is a 4-star unit. A lot of us have her S6. Super easy to build. You don't even need to put echoes on her. Her field time is so minimal. She's an amazing character for Camellia. One of the best all-around characters, let alone 4 stars in the game. Build her up. You don't need to put that much investment into her. Like you can literally put like a level 1 overture on her, or you can build her up a little bit. She does respectable damage, but she is just a phenomenal character. The fact that she's a 4-star unit, she's she is kind of like the Bennett, if you will, of Wuthering Waves. Not quite like the same like usability or buffs, but she is just a phenomenal character. Super fun. She has the skin. She looks amazing. Awesome character. Yang Yang. She is cool. I definitely put her in B tier. Like she is really good for Whimpering Waste. Like she has really good grouping. And she definitely had her shine. Early game, an amazing character. She definitely carried me early on. And like I said, she's very good for Whimpering Waste because of her grouping. But again, I just think there's other better characters. Um, yeah, but I think early on, very solid. For new players, build her up. You'll like her. Fun playstyle, good grouping. Can definitely get you through a lot of the early game content. But again, there's just so many other premium units. I definitely think she kind of falls off. Now, my question is, will she get a 5-star variant? I might make a video on this in the future. I think if Wuthering Waves kind of follows other archetypes of other gotcha games, I think she'd be the prime 4-star unit to bump up. I mean, she's still technically the mascot of the game. Like in the App Store, it's Yang Yang, not Rover. So, all in all, still a very well rounded character, if you will. Somebody that's not Yoo-hoo. This character is boo-hoo. I cannot recommend this character at all. I mean, she heals, so there's some usability there, but I don't like characters that have, gotcha mechanics built into it. Yeah, I understand there's ways to probably mitigate it, but all in all, just not a character that I would recommend. She's kind of adorable, kind of got that adorable, obnoxious vibe, but just all in all, not a phenomenal character. Kind of along the same lines, Lumi. Lumi gives a skill boost with her outro. So, you compare her with Jinshi and Carlotta, but kind of a clunky character. Again, very adorable. Like, Wu was really good at making adorable 4-star characters, but unfortunately, kind of the most recent ones have been a little lackluster. So we'll see what they do in the future. But again, not a character I would highly, highly recommend investing into. Havoc Rover, on the other hand, amazing character. Easily S tier. There's amazing DPS characters in the game, but Havoc Rover still is very respectable. You compare with Rocha, Cantarella, um, just Sanhua because of basic attack damage. Amazing character. Danjin as well. You slap double Dreamless on early game. I know for new players you're gonna have to get sequences like the fact that we can get this character S6 is very excellent. But even at S0, like a very respectable DPS, like I said, double Dreamless with Danjin, you can clear a lot of the content in the game. And the fact that the main character is such a good DPS, they're completely free. You get all their sequences. Pog. Very, very Pog Kuro. Now, Spectral Rover is very interesting. You could make an argument for right now, before 2.3 is up, that they are S tier. Obviously, Phoebe's best support, the Spectral Frazzle applicator, if you will, if you want Phoebe to be the DPS, which I think a lot of us are currently. But, she's either high A or low S. One of the two. Again, the fact that the main character is so good for two elements, probably the third element will be good in the not too distant future. This character can heal. I do think situationally you could have her replace Shorekeeper, especially when Zani comes out. I could see us running, you know, Zani, BB, and Spectral Rover. So maybe, you know what? I'm feeling generous. Let's slap her in S tier. Again, having the main character have two of their elements, have them in S tier. Pog, man. I mean, this is great. Keep cooking Kuro. But I like to think that that is my tier list done for patch 2.2. Let me know what you think. I'm super geeked for the anniversary patch and Zani tomorrow. I'll be streaming here on YouTube if you want to come say hi. That's pretty much it, gamers. Appreciate y'all. Peace.